So our next stop on our adventure here in New Zealand through different farm country is here. We are close to
Stratford.
We're close to Stratford. We're close to Mount Taranaki, and we're at our friends Nick and Sophie's farm, and we're about to move some cattle here and into a new paddock. Hey everyone, welcome to our vlog, our second vlog from New Zealand. The first one you got to see, we were on a dairy farm. This is a beef and sheep farm. And you heard
go
heard me saying that we were in the Taranaki region.
But it doesn't cost us so much either, so quite cheap.
He got to take us up on his four-wheeler, because that's really how they get around in the hills over here. And it was really muddy and pretty rainy that day, but it was crazy to look down and just see basically a cliff.
Yeah, it was really steep, and there I was reaching my arm out from the four-wheeler to film it. It wasn't quite as dangerous as it looks, but it was steep.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to drive a four-wheeler down the slope. It's just a beautiful view.
Mm-hmm.
And the clouds and the fog kind of made it really kind of made a really specific kind of feel to it.
It's kind of mystical.
So we're at the top of like a mountain, I guess, and there's a shed here. This is where they would put fertilizer for the grass, and the planes would come load up the fertilizer, and they would land and take off from this airstrip. And I don't know if you can tell on video, but this is like crazy terrain. And yeah, it's cool. Did I get all of it? So yeah, it's hard to like show the slopes. Oh, shoot.
He had to ask us to get off and walk down this because he didn't want.
But it's really steep. Really steep. And this is where they would land. They'd fly up, drive up to this ridge and land a plane to spread fertilizer.
This path was super muddy, so it would have been dangerous to have three people on the four-wheeler going down.
We got to see this sheep shearing facility. This guy right here, Shearing, is one of the fastest in the country. And so that was pretty cool to watch him go to work.
Yeah.
He'd be a lot faster than me. But the shearing of the sheep is actually for the welfare of the animal, as well as, you know, to sell the wool, by maintaining the condition of the sheep. By shearing it, you know, you're taking care of the sheep. A lot of times activist organizations will say that shearing is cruel and show pictures of you know, animals that have been sheared, but it's actually for their own good, and the farmer wouldn't do it if it wasn't for that reason. But this was cool because like it was a whole family kind of working together, and they
had their jobs.
They can shear a bunch of sheep in a day. We ran into this guy just bringing sheep down the highway. That's pretty commonplace in New Zealand.
And then on our way back through here, we ran into him again with his sheep.
So there are over I forget how many million sheep in New Zealand, but I think the ratio is like 7-to-1 sheep to people, and it used to be even higher than that. So it's pretty incredible to drive through the country and see just thousands of sheep on pretty much every hillside you drive by.
Oh, they were everywhere.
And as we were talking in the about the plane that fertilizes, they actually fertilize all these hills of grass So, you know, in the US, we would never fertilize really steep terrain like that, but in the North Island, they get so much rain that it's worth grazing every, you know, every square foot of land that's available, even the steep hills. And these sheep can get up there. And then there's really no predators to take the sheep out. And so that's why New Zealand is so perfectly conditioned for sheep compared to America and other countries.
One of my favorite parts was seeing all the trained sheepdogs in action. That was so neat. Because they just follow their commands most of the time. And they know what they're doing, they know what their job is, and they love it.
I decided to get off the four-wheeler and go help
Mm-hmm.
chase one that had gone down into the ravine.
You were more than happy to help.
Felt like I was back home. It was pretty windy in New Zealand at times. And it was funny, you can see in this video there's actually raindrops coming down. It was sunny, but it was just started to rain out of nowhere. And New Zealand has the climate was very, you know, there's a coast within 3 hours both directions. And so
It's pretty sporadic.
it's about as crazy as Kansas is. But in Kansas, we get about 30 inches of rain per year. In the North Island, they get like 120. So they get 4 times as much rain as we do. And that's why everything is so green, and that's why they can graze everything. And yeah, they graze all their cattle and sheep on grass all the time, and they can put way more animals per acre than we can in the States.
This was really cool. They sent out all the dogs to herd up the sheep from the hills. And so we just got to watch from afar. And there were times we couldn't even see the dogs because they were so far away. But they had different people stationed at different points in the hills so that the dogs could hear their commands that they were being whistled to do. It was so cool.
Oh, yes I do. Yeah, I see the dog.
Dogs would just run up and down these hills, and like, yeah, again, it's hard to show how steep these hills were, but it was just incredible to think of the endurance and the stamina it would take for these dogs to just sprint up and down these hills chasing these sheep.
This was a massive kind of valley.
And you wouldn't be able to graze these kind of hills without sheepdogs until maybe they can get drones to do the same kind of thing. But it's obviously a lot harder to herd sheep with a drone than it is with a dog. There you can see the dog going to work. There's running back up. It's getting tired.
The dogs just came back drenched with sweat. They had been working so hard.
But it was like they had a huge smile on their face too. Like they're so
they
happy.
Loved it.
It's like their favorite thing to do is run up and down these hills chasing sheep. But yeah, our trip, this country is just so picturesque, and sometimes it just felt like it wasn't even real. So smart farming in New Zealand, there's potential for satellite imagery usage in places like this where they're grazing sheep in this high country, these hills. And tell us about how that satellite imagery would help.
A number of ways. We could obviously utilise it to help us put the fertiliser in the right places where the nutrients have been taken away and moved to different spots, and obviously for pasture, for feed budgeting, because it's really hard for us at the moment to say, oh, there's this much grass, because we just don't know. So satellites would make a big difference for us.
Yeah, so as they're grazing here, they're going to be someday, maybe even today, they can use satellite imagery to determine how much fertilizer to put on and where to graze and all these different things. So there's smart farming in New Zealand just like there's smart farming In America, we have Farmer's Edge. They have
We have Farm IQ. a
Farm
number of
IQ, yeah.
farm applications, yeah, similar
pretty
things.
cool.
Okay, I'll start in the beginning. You good? Okay, so this is Farm IQ. It's farm management software that we use in New Zealand. Basically, the picture you're seeing is of the farm. All the yellow lines are the boundaries of different paddocks. So each paddock, you can click on it, and so this paddock here, for example, is 21 hectares. And it'll tell me, well, it's not up to date, but it'll tell me how many sheep and cattle are in there if I would keep that all up to date. And if I wanted to put some fertiliser on that paddock, for example, I could click on this and record the date, basically anything, any other information like how it was put on, who supplied it, the name of the fertiliser, how much, price, yeah, all of that. And it'll just record all of that information over time, and you can create reports and see trends in your farm, and you can also record like animal performance but obviously to do that takes a lot of input, you know, to EID.